talked about. I have an audience behind the scene today making me nervous. But yesterday, we wanted to come over here and we talked about coming to Ducati, picking up a bike. But unfortunately, the banks were closed. We couldn't get the cashier's check in time. But we are here today. So I've recently started to exercise my passion of getting into bikes, which started with Ducati and Lamborghini conveniently rebuilding their store over here. But so should we start over again? So we're here at Ducati. I am gonna start building a motorcycle collection. Started with Lamborghini and Ducati doing a collab on the new Panigale V4 that they're creating 63 of those 63. Sorry, they're creating some crazy number. I think it's like 600 or something. But of those, they're creating 63. 29 of them are coming to the U.S. and they're only for Lamborghini clients. And I was lucky enough to get one of them. That started a passion into looking at what Ducati has. And today we're going to be getting a new bike and starting a new collection, which is going to be a motorcycle collection into the 786 hypercars. Maybe we'll call it 786 superbikes. I'm just kidding. So which bike did I decide to go with? We're going to introduce the bike in a second, and then we're going to get into why I picked that bike over all the other bikes that I took into consideration. So the bike I have decided to get is the 2025 Panigale V4 S. When you're getting a motorcycle, you want to get a bike that you're going to enjoy riding. It has to be about riding, no different than when you buy cars, it's about driving those cars. So when I was looking at the V4 S, I considered a few different options. Option one was get the Street Fighter V4 S Lamborghini that was, I think, launched when the STO was launched, and build a Ducati / Lamborghini collab collection. Not for me, because I want a bike I'm actually passionate about and would enjoy riding. So naturally that took me to the V4 Superleggera, which was the last iteration of the 2025 Panigale V4s. But I decided to add that Superleggera to the collection later on for a couple of different reasons. First, it's a very track focused bike. I don't want to buy bikes from an investment perspective. I think this is a motorsport. It's good if you can get investments and you can get your money and keep it stable. I think it's all good about making smart decisions. But for me, the Superleggera, as great of a bike it is, it's track focused. I'm also newly getting into motorcycles. I don't want to get on that thing, do something stupid. I don't understand it. I would rather get a bike that's more the latest technology, is the cutting edge of what Ducati has to offer, and something that I'll ride the over time. I'm for sure going to add is 2024 V4 Superleggera to the collection. But the way cars and bikes appreciate or depreciate is very different. I could go buy a very limited edition, for example, Zain. One can dream. If I drive it and I maintain it, the car will actually appreciate. But if I go buy a V4 Superleggera today, it's going to be at the top end of what that bike is worth. And over time, as I put miles on it, it's just going to depreciate. And so, again, not necessarily making decision from that perspective. It's more about a bike I would enjoy riding. And so then it was very clear that the bike I want to get is the cutting edge of what Ducati has on the market today. Very similar to the Lamborghini Panigale V4 that's going to be coming out, which I'm going to work on designing with Ducati. We'll do another video on that and really go through that whole process. But as a new rider, somebody who's just starting to get into bikes, always appreciated them, loved them. I wanted it to be more about the passion for it, not so much putting it as a showpiece in my office or whatever. So that's why this V4 S is perfect. Now, this V4 S specifically, I'm at Ducati Concord near Walnut Creek. I got because it has more carbon fiber than I've seen on any V4 that's available. So one of the first things about this bike is it has an entirely new Öhlins suspension, which is electronically capable, which helps, especially a new rider, really get acclimated with how you're going to ride the bike. It has a bunch of features, slide control, other things, wheelie control. So you can really enjoy the process of riding your bike and not have to worry about some of the things. So for me, it was actually a really cool thing. The bike has a new engine, 1103 horsepower, 1103 cc engine. It has a which produces 209 horsepower with a top speed of 189 miles per hour, almost 200, and 12,750 RPM. Now, the other really cool thing about this is that they, for the first time, did something which is somewhat controversial, and it has a double-sided swing arm. So if we come back here and you look at the swing arm, it's on the right side and the left side. Now, typically, that's for the true enthusiast, not exactly a thing they're excited about, but I think it provides the bike a lot more stability, and that's ultimately what Ducati is going for. They're not shy of doing new things. So double-sided swing arm, new Öhlins suspension, which is pretty damn advanced. But the other cool thing is it has a lot of the stuff that the Superleggera has too. And I think what Ducati is going to do is they'll ultimately come out with a Superleggera version of this bike as well, which hopefully I'll get. But this one, it has carbon fiber front mudguard. It has the carbon fiber wings in the front. Basically, the whole bike is just dripping with carbon fiber. We have this option, which is an option just for this bike, which is the whole carbon fiber front section. It has carbon fiber on the back, and then also one of the things that I had Ducati do is I actually had them delete this rear plate and install something that's far more just slick in terms of how it is. Even this fuel cap here, this is custom. The wheels are custom, and yeah, the last thing that I'll mention very quickly before we get this bike out of the dealership and start riding is incredibly advanced piece of machinery. For me, it was about a bike that offered the best capability, but also stood out, and so all the carbon fiber details are amazing. We're gonna have some fun with it. Mehdi was very helpful in helping me figure out which bike I should go with. But what's cool is we're gonna do a full exposed carbon fiber aftermarket project on this bike, and that'll all be on the channel. There was one other thing I wanted to mention. Can't remember what it is right now. Race exhaust, yes. So it's interesting how it works with bikes and cars. So when you buy a car and you get a bunch of options, you actually can, and this is for the new riders out there, right? They're gonna wanna go down this path. When you get a car and you pick a bunch of options and you spec it, your car comes like that with those options. I didn't know it doesn't work like that with bikes. So Ducati will only send the bike one way. It comes to the dealer. All the carbon fiber options or race exhaust or whatever that you get, and there's a reason why there's no race exhaust on this bike, which I'll get into, the dealer has to actually install, and there's a labor fee associated with it. So I had no idea it worked like that with bikes, but just a little piece of information. And then no race exhaust for a reason, because the fines are just astronomical in California for dealers who will put a race exhaust, which is not street legal. I think it's like $35,000 is what they were telling me if you get busted. And as a rider, you're going to end up getting a ticket. And I don't want to get into all of that until I'm like good, I'm getting more experience as a rider, and start adding more bikes to the collection.
So we'll keep you updated on that Lamborghini coming through.
Exactly.
I think we're as excited as you are to see it.
Hey, likewise, man.
Hell yeah, dude. Have a great rest of your week.
All right, you too. All right, guys. So we got the bike ready to go. I'm absolutely obsessed with this thing already. We're gonna ride home, but before we do that, I wanted to actually do a quick comparison for something, and that is how can you tell a V4 S between a V2? And all credit to Mehdi, who pointed some of these things out with me. So if you look at this V4 S and you just look at the front mudguard, there's some very distinctive features about this bike that are not going to even be on a regular V4 S, which is, for example, these cooling ducts out of carbon fiber going straight to the brake, the carbon fiber mudguard, and then if you come back and you look at the mirrors here on a V4, the mirrors are going to be behind the shield over here. On a V2, they're in the front, but probably the most distinctive feature is the suspension. So if we come back over here, you look at that suspension, notice how it goes down, and there's a V2 over there. Let's go take a look at it real quick. If you see on this bike, it doesn't look as aggressive. The mirrors are here in the front, and then if you look at the suspension, it's gonna be more going horizontally than vertical. So some little things that you can notice and just see how much more aggressive a V4 S looks. In this bike, they've redone the whole design of the bike. The whole look of the bike is different. It's way more sleeker, more power. Even the headlights just look a lot more slick. So let's go take this home, and we'll pick the vlog back up once we get back to HQ. So we're back home. Honestly, one of the most fun times I've ever had. It's my first bike ever. Typically people start with much lower. Can't do that. I went with the bike that I absolutely fell in love with, the performance, everything else that we talked about at the dealership, and it's symbolic of the cars in the collection as well. So the first ride home, the first time driving on the street, amazing experience, but can be very dangerous too. This bike has so much power. One of the biggest reasons why I wanted to start learning how to ride motorcycles and start to actually advance in the capability of riding a bike is obviously the level of precision that it takes and the attention that it takes. It's a manual bike. You're constantly shifting, you're adjusting your speed, you're accelerating, decelerating, on and off the throttle. And I think it makes you a better driver when it comes to cars. One of the things that I've already noticed just in practice and just obviously getting the proper training to be able to ride a bike is just this level of smoothness you have to be on the handlebar. You actually start to notice that when you're riding a Koenigsegg or Senna or any car, you feel that smoothness transitions over into making you a better driver when you're on the track. I really think anybody who loves cars at one point or another should learn how to ride motorcycles. This thing looks absolutely gorgeous with the P1, the Koenigsegg, the Senna. We got the 4x4 and the Phantom over here on the other side as well. Hopefully everybody enjoyed this. We're going to try to do more and more of these videos. I am running a company too, so don't get that much time to be able to record cool stuff, but gonna do that more and more. So thank you for subscribing. Appreciate all the love, appreciate all the comments. We're doing this to bring the joy, to share the joy, the passion, the actual love related to motorsports, being a gearhead, not any of this, you know, typical cars and coffee, whatever. So hopefully it's content that everybody will continue to enjoy, but appreciate all the love and support. With that, it's a wrap.
When you ride a motorcycle, you have to be a defensive rider. You have to be a defensive driver. You don't have time enough to talk on the phone. You don't have time enough to eat. You don't have time enough to do a lot of things that most people do every single day, which is more dangerous than riding a motorcycle.
Yeah.
You have to really be focused on seeing the traffic ahead. He doesn't know about this. He's never ridden a motorcycle. You never understand what it takes to be a winner.